Hello, welcome back to Israel with Aline. We are now live this Sunday right here from Jerusalem. And I want to ask for your help to let me know if you can see or hear, or if you can see and hear well. So leave your comments here so we can know that we can really start, because today is a very special day, the day of light, the day of the miracle of light here in Jerusalem. And now the comments are showing up. Wonderful. So Marley Jesus Silva, Shalom. Joel, who is a member here on the channel, Shalom, welcome back. Please let me know if you can see and hear well so we can officially start our live. So Shalom and welcome back to Israel with Aline. And we are now speaking live from Jerusalem this Sunday. It is now 5 in the afternoon, Jerusalem time, 1700 hours, and noon according to Brasilia time. Today, we started our live 1 hour earlier than we are used to. Remembering the miracle of light here in Jerusalem. And there is an exact time for this to happen, and it is precisely at sunset. So with a little bit of sky that you can see up here, you can really see that the sun is going down. And so we're going to start our celebrations. And for that, we're going to walk here today in the streets of Jerusalem to see what's so special. And for that, we have a very special guest who's already a regular here on the channel. So everyone, leave a like for my dad, Jorge.
Shalom, my daughter. That's great. I always love it when you invite me. She said a special guest. She invites me. And I don't think twice about saying yes. I love taking part.
So it's freezing, guys. Let me see. Someone here is saying that it's freezing. The image is freezing. Come on, guys, leave your comments here. It's better now. Now it's better. The video is blurry. So, guys, let's see. Here. Shalom, sis. Are you okay? Are you feeling better? So everyone now say shalom. Welcome, my dad.
Shalom, everyone.
Now the picture is good.
Since everyone is singing, today is a day of celebration, right? Hanukkah, Aline will explain it well to you. The Festival of Lights is something wonderful.
You can really see that people are arriving here. It truly is a day when the streets of Jerusalem fill up and we see families out on the streets. People, even with small children, let bedtime slide today because they want everyone to see and celebrate this miracle, the miracle of the oil, which we will explain to you. I apologize if the broadcast isn't perfect. Sometimes we have minor issues when we're live in Jerusalem, especially in the older parts of the city. As we are here now, we are in a neighborhood called Nalaut, one of the first neighborhoods outside the walls of Jerusalem. And since the whole neighborhood is built in stone, this isn't just a stone covering on the houses. The houses are made of stone. The entire neighborhood is made of stone. Because of this, it can feel like being in a cave, causing frequent signal problems. That's the main point. I used to live on the street just behind. I'm going to show you where I used to live, and during the years I lived here, I always had the same problem with lack of internet connection and phone connection. But it's a small price to live in a historic place like Jerusalem, especially Nahlaot. So if you're ready, let's get started. Behind me are 400 truckloads of Temple Mount soil that were illegally dumped in 1999 like trash. But 2 archaeologists refused to let it disappear. They rescued the soil and created the Temple Mount Sifting Project. Today, over 500,000 artifacts have been recovered. Pottery from Solomon's temple, coins from Jesus' time, pieces of history that were meant to be lost forever. Now you can be part of this rescue mission, get authentic Temple Mount soil delivered to your door, and help keep biblical archaeology alive. Scan the QR code or use the link below. So, Dad, could you please also keep an eye on the comments? If it freezes, let me know, or is the text too small?
Sorry, I can't read it.
We'll try to keep up here too. They said the internet is great. So everyone, we're on the last day, the 8th day of Hanukkah. It's the Festival of Lights. This is a festival that has been celebrated since biblical times, and it actually celebrates the accounts from the Book of Maccabees, which is a 100% true story. There is no shortage of archaeological finds here in Israel related to that time. So we're talking about something that happened around 2,200 years ago. Something very terrible happened in Israel at first. What happens? When the Greeks conquer Israel, the Greeks were pagans, they were polytheists, and when they conquer Israel, they arrive here in the cradle of monotheism, and they don't accept Judaism, they don't accept faith in the God of Israel in any way. And because of that, they start to impose their rules. They start to make prohibitions against biblical rules and laws, and they begin to try to impose their religion, their polytheistic religion. And now, Dad, do you think the people of Israel easily accepted converting to that?
Certainly they did not accept it, and they changed the Greeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the one who studies this. They turned the Jerusalem temple, so important to Judaism, into a polytheistic place, putting their figures, their gods there. Anyway, this was an affront to Jewish monotheism.
Exactly. Imagine being someone from the 12 tribes of Israel living here in Jerusalem in biblical times. Seeing these foreigners invading the land, taking the Jerusalem temple, as my father said, and turning the Jerusalem temple into a polytheistic temple, pagan, mainly for the worship of Zeus. Now imagine the house, the place where not long ago the Ark of the Covenant was kept, and now the mercy seat, the place of the divine presence according to the Bible itself, now had an image of Zeus there. Worship, pure idolatry inside the temple of Jerusalem, and the sacrifice of unclean animals, including pigs. Now imagine the feeling.
That was an offense, right?
Imagine how people felt seeing idolatry taking over Jerusalem. And then the reaction, which is actually kind of logical, from the people of Israel. It was a great rebellion led by a family, the Hasmonean family, also often called the Maccabees. They shout, Mila Hashem Elai, whoever is with God, join me. And one family, along with a few allies, decides to fight, to declare a rebellion against the greatest army of that time, against the greatest armies of the ancient world. The Greek army, which was highly prepared with advanced military techniques and advanced equipment, and simply those Jews with no military training at all decide to declare a rebellion against the Greeks. And now?
And the victory shows the importance of faith in a battle, right? Comparing the military potential of both sides, it was impossible, but they needed to recover the temple for God, comparing them, right?
Exactly. I mean, anyone with logic would say, don't start this rebellion, don't start this war. You don't have any chance of winning, but anyone with faith would say, we don't have any other option. We're not going to let idolatry win. The same thing happened centuries earlier during Joshua's time. With the 12 spies come to the same land. They see how good the land was, but 10 spies said, we don't stand a chance of winning, of conquering the promised land. It would have been better if we had never left Egypt, because we're not going to conquer this land. Joshua and Caleb are the only ones who say, God promised us this land so we can conquer it. I mean, they know that logically it shouldn't work, but faith in God was what led them. And it was the same thing that the Maccabees, the Hasmoneans, did. Faith was what led them in the fight against the Maccabees, in the fight against the Greeks, and really against all military, historical, numerical logic, against any logic. The Maccabees managed to defeat the Greeks. And all this account is in the book of Maccabees. So, I mean, the book of Maccabees tells us about this war, about this victory. Guys, and these are colossal battles. I don't know if you know, not many people know this. They brought them, guys. The Greeks brought elephants, so they didn't just imagine. The Greeks rode not only on horses, they literally came riding elephants to fight here in Israel. Obviously, elephants are not native animals here. They were brought either from Asia or Africa, I mean from distant lands. They were brought to be kind of like a tank. So imagine those few people with faith in God literally fighting against elephants, gigantic animals, against that whole great army. And I'm here reading the chat to see if it's working well. So it really is more than a miraculous victory. I think there's no other way to describe it. Victory in the war is a miracle in itself. Now, there's another miracle that actually isn't mentioned in the book of Maccabees, but it's a miracle just as important or maybe even greater. Listen closely. When the Maccabees managed to reclaim the Temple of Jerusalem, they now need to purify it again. So, what does it mean to purify it again, to repurify? First, remove the images. Obviously, we have to remove the images, remove the remains of unclean animals like pigs. Everything that didn't belong in the temple has to be removed. Purify the temple and now rededicate it. Hanukkah, which is the name of the festival in Hebrew. The festival that is being celebrated today is called the Festival of Hanukkah, which literally means dedication. Today we are celebrating the Festival of Dedication. The dedication of what? The rededication of the temple in Jerusalem. The temple was clean, prepared, and ready for rededication, but there was a problem. We need something essential for the temple to function, which is
light, right?
Exactly. The temple needed light, and what was the temple illuminated with?
With oil, right?
Exactly. I mean, the menorah, the candlestick that you know so well, that 7-branched golden candlestick, oil was placed on top and lit. The oil was lit, and that way it illuminated the entire temple of Jerusalem. The problem is that you can't just use any oil. It has to be pure oil, oil specially prepared for the temple. Here he is walking by, seeing everyone with the preparations for the festival, going from one side to the other. But the oil for the menorah needed to be pure oil. Now, the problem is that when they go and look for this pure oil, they only find
enough for one day.
Exactly, a small jar that would be enough to inaugurate the temple, and for one day. So what do they decide to do? Let's inaugurate the temple. Better to have the temple for one day than not at all. And they go pour oil on the menorah, light the menorah, and hold the inauguration celebration. And they come back the next day intending to close the temple because the temple couldn't function without light, without the menorah. But they arrive on the second day and the menorah was still lit. And on the third day, and on the fourth day, and on the fifth day, and the sixth day, and on the seventh day, and on the eighth day. Miraculously, the oil that was supposed to last one day lasted
8 days.
8 days. Why is that number so important? The number 8 is also the number of perfection, but it's the number of days it took to produce new oil. So when the menorah went out, they already had new oil prepared to keep lighting it. And so the temple didn't have to be closed again. I mean, idolatry took over the temple, but once the temple was purified again, nothing could stop it, not even the lack of oil, because God was able to solve that problem. And now I have a question for you.
I hope I can answer.
I'm also asking you guys, I want your opinion too. We have 2 miracles here. One miracle is a few people without military training achieving a huge military victory. The victory of the Maccabees against the great Greek army is a miracle, without a doubt. The second miracle is a small jar of oil meant for one day that lasted 8. Which miracle do you mean? Please share in the chat which of the 2 miracles you think is greater.
It's tough to say which is greater.
The war or the oil? A small jar of oil lasting 8 days or a military victory? Against all logic, both are miracles, both are important, but which one is greater?
Which one has more meaning? Like this?
So,
I'd say the light.
So,
Was I wrong?
There isn't a right answer, guys. People in the chat are already saying both, both, both. But guys, what happens? Both miracles are important, obviously. Look, a motorcycle is passing by.
I have a delivery.
Your delivery. Guys, both miracles are important, in my personal opinion. And then you can say your opinion, in my personal opinion. The military victory is something much bigger. It's something that took years. It wasn't just one battle that happened. There were many battles. There were battles against elephants. I believe the military victory is greater. What was your opinion?
Can I disagree with you?
You can.
Here's the thing. Well, military victory is in the hands of man, right? Let's say against the elephants, against the Greek army. Just imagine the power. Ancient Greece. Now, the light, there's no way to argue about that. That was a miracle. It wasn't manpower. It wasn't human hands that did it.
That's exactly what the Jewish sages said. Let me explain.
So I inherited it from them?
So both miracles are important, but the miracle that we celebrate, that we remember more than the other, is the miracle of the oil. Why? Because the miracle of the war, we can say that it was us. Someone can say, I fought against the Greeks, I defeated them, we were better, our military strategy was better, I was stronger, us, us, us. The miracle of the oil is entirely in God's hands, not man's.
Could do it.
Could make the oil last 8 days. No, man, that is clearly a miracle from God, so both are miracles from God. But we usually celebrate the miracle of the oil much more, or at least remember it more, so we don't run the risk of human nature saying, we defeated the Greeks is wrong. God helped the people win, performed the miracle of the oil, and deserves all the glory. So it's a miracle that we need to remember that the light of the world comes through God. And here people are celebrating a lot right next to us here. In a little while, we're going to start walking around to show you all what's happening here in the neighborhood. I don't know if you all can hear from here. Look over there. Let me show you. They're praying over there right next to us, and there will be a lot of people here on the city streets praying, so we're going to show you all. So guys, don't worry, we're going to show you everything. But then the idea is exactly, oops. Oops. Just a second, guys.
Do you hear the music and the family singing?
They probably can't hear from here since the microphone's too far away. So technical problems, but we have both miracles. Everything ultimately comes from God, but the oil miracle helps us focus on the abundance God provided. And to celebrate the Festival of Lights, it's something very meaningful. It's something very, very meaningful, everyone, because we see how darkness tries to dominate the world. We see it. I see clearly, at least in my opinion, I see a spiritual battle actively happening in the world of light against darkness, against the shadows. And we see this battle. And that's why we're here in Jerusalem, able to bring light to the world, lighting the candles, remembering God's miracles, and saying that no one will ever be able to extinguish our light.
Perfect, Aline.
And was there something you wanted to say too?
First of all, I'm very moved by all your teaching, you know. Secondly, I don't know if I should say this in the middle of the party, right? But today we're lighting the 8th and final candle of Hanukkah. You'll see it in a moment. In the houses, in the square, everywhere. But we have a very special year, which will go down in history. On the first candle, all of you know what happened in Australia.
I don't know how much the media in Brazil showed. I hope they showed what happened. You can put it here if the media in Brazil talked or not about what happened in Australia 7 days ago. So
there was a huge crime.
An attack.
Yes, and where 15 people died. And maybe since we're in Jerusalem, I'll remind you of something. There was a person who managed to capture one of the bad people. We really have to be careful about what we say.
If YouTube wants to take down our live stream, let them. We need to tell the truth. What happened in Australia was a terrorist attack. On the first day of the Festival of Lights, when people were celebrating God's miracle, God's light in this world, two terrorists came and carried out a massacre on a beach in Australia, a beach where the Festival of Lights was being celebrated. So just like you see the menorahs here, the Hanukkah of Jerusalem, there was one on the beach in Australia at Bondi Beach. And they carried out a terrorist attack, two terrorists who were a father and a son, and they were indoctrinated in Islam radically. They carried out this terrorist attack.
And I want to tell you that there was a miracle. A lot more people would have died if it weren't for a man who was a retired Australian police officer. A man jumped in unarmed.
That really
was all over the media. So he managed to neutralize this second terrorist, and there were far fewer deaths. But here we also have to believe in a miracle. The person who defended the Jews is a Muslim.
Yes, his name is Ahmad Al-Ahmad. We have to say his name as well.
So we have to believe in the miracle that God is showing us. We can have a solution. We can have friendship among all peoples. This happened in Australia, and there are people who turn a blind eye to it, right?
We talk about anti-Semitism. I grew up talking about and living with anti-Semitism. Unfortunately, in Brazil, we recall a stabbing in Porto Alegre targeting young people from the Jewish community. Thank God they survived, but physical anti-Semitic attacks in Brazil have increased since October 7th. And I remember when I talked about anti-Semitism, people would say that's just a persecution complex of Jews. That's what it is. So it's here. This is, the Rappi from Brazil. Those food delivery services, here it's actually an Israeli version of a food delivery service. They used to say it's just a Jewish persecution complex, nothing personal. There's something I mentioned, that this battle, this spiritual battle is happening, and there's also a physical battle happening. And we can't close our eyes to the hatred that exists in the world, to the persecutions that exist in the world. We see the Jews being extremely persecuted here in Israel and around the world. We see Christians being persecuted, and this isn't new or just from the past year or two. We are seeing what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in Congo, massacres of Christians, these battles are happening, and we cannot close our eyes. But we can see that they don't choose random dates to carry out attacks against the Jewish community. Israel's largest modern attack occurred on October 7th, which was the final day.
In 2023,
exactly October 7th, 2023, Simchat Torah, the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, saw an attack. On Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, there was also an attack against Jews globally, not in Israel. Last Yom Kippur, another attack targeted Jews outside Israel. Now, during the Festival of Lights, we are seeing this happen again when people gather to pray to God and celebrate God's miracles. We're facing more attacks, including in Europe. We are seeing celebrations, for example, Christmas celebrations being canceled because of threats, celebrations in Paris being canceled, in Germany being canceled. We see that too. In the Middle East, Christians often face the most attacks during Easter, especially when they gather in churches to celebrate. There are attacks in several places here in the Middle East.
I don't know if our audience knows that I have two daughters, right? All of you know Aline, of course, but my oldest daughter is named Anna, and she lives in Zurich. We were on the phone the day before yesterday, and she showed me something unbelievable for Zurich. For Switzerland, the Christmas markets in Switzerland completely surrounded by security to prevent attacks, like you said. In France, there was the cancellation of the Champs-Élysées. In Germany, there's also a lot of concern to prevent attacks against people of different faiths, right? But anyway.
Yes, and I think now it's time for us to walk through the streets of Jerusalem. Dad, hold this phone in your hand so the internet doesn't drop. The closer it is to us.
I do everything you ask. Is it for payment? Look here, see. This boy, they won't.
Here, look, leave it here, look. He's here, look, guys. Putting the little bottles of olive oil. Look here, he's picking up the Hanukkah, the 9-branch candelabrum, and putting the little bottles of olive oil in, and they're going to light it here later too. This is one of the dozens of Hanukkahs, the candelabra that are here in the neighborhood, and I saw some people asking about it here. But if the candelabrum in the temple had 7 branches, why does this one clearly have 9? We see 4 on each side and 1 in the center. Guys, this candelabrum is not the temple candelabrum, this is the Hanukkah candelabrum, and let me explain to you what the difference is. This candelabrum we light only 8 times. We light it during 1 week, during 8 days, once a year, which is in December. On the first day we light 1 candle, on the second day 2, 3, 4. Today is the 8th day, so we light all of them, and here there is a 9th candle, which actually is the master candle. It is used to light the others, so the real Hanukkah has 8 branches and it can also have 9, so actually 8 is enough. Sometimes people like 9, which is used to light the others, but that wasn't the candelabrum from the Temple of Jerusalem. Look here, the boy came back to finish filling up the oil. Here he saw that a little was missing, and by the way, what kind of oil is used? I managed to read it on the label, but that's what we use here too. It's olive oil, exactly as it was in the Temple of Jerusalem. So even though the origin of the miracle is from the temple's menorah, the Hanukkah menorah has 9 branches, or 8. And here we are now walking through this neighborhood, so you can see a little bit of the celebrations with us. And by the way, something you might not know, Jesus also celebrated Hanukkah. We have a verse in the Bible that says Jesus was in the temple during the celebration of the Festival of Lights. So it doesn't necessarily say that he was celebrating the Festival of Lights, but he was in the temple. So he participated directly or indirectly. And there people are lighting the candles, so we're going to get closer so you can also see and hear everyone. Sometimes I speak more quietly so I don't disturb the ceremonies. Look here at the Hanukkah songs. Thank you. Look here, everyone. They offered us mint tea. Everyone, let's keep moving. Look here, how beautiful, everyone. It's already starting to light up now. I'm going to be quiet for a bit so you can also hear the music. Let me know if you can hear the music well. So let's keep walking, everyone. But what we're hearing are worship songs to God. I mean, the people leaving the city to celebrate. So everyone, we can see the solidarity here. It's winter now and it's cold, probably about 10 or 15 degrees. Now, the people who literally live here in the neighborhood come and put things here, look, for free. Sweets, tea, so they also come here to play music. And this is our way of bringing a little light to the world. Guys, this is our way of bringing a little bit of light to the world, to remember God's miracles and to remember every day that darkness will never win, guys. So it's beautiful to see. After 2 years of war, peace has returned, and you can see the joy on people's faces. The children in the streets reminding us of that prophecy that says children will return to the squares of Jerusalem. The elderly will sit with their canes on the park benches, and that's exactly what we're seeing. While we often see the fear that's happening in Europe, here we see joy, the worship of God. And an interesting tradition is that it said you have to light the Hanukkah, you have to light the candelabrum outside the house or in the windows, because the light has to be not just for us, not just for those lighting the candles, but we have to spread light to the world. And that's why we see how people place it exactly outside as well. I hear more people lighting up. Let's try to find the source. Let's see if we can find it.
I think it's coming from the synagogue, one or two.
Here we can see the people too. They live in this building and they came to the entrance to light the candles. And people are watching, they're gathering. These people are just like us, people who are walking down the street and came here to watch. I'm going to pause for a moment so you can listen. Guys, let's keep walking. I want to show you a place that's very personal to me. Here, look, Lachish Street. Lachish Street, and if we keep walking here on Lachish Street and look for number 3. Here, look. I'm walking fast so we get there. So here is Lachish number 1, and the door next to it is Lachish Street number 3. And guys, this was my house, this one right here. These two, I lived here, guys, for quite a few years. I lived here, actually, I don't remember exactly how many years, but I lived here and this was my house. So just so you can get to know a little bit, as you can see, Place Zero is a historic street, as you can see, and that's why it's not very well lit. So I apologize, but my father remembers this place very well. Very well.
Well, today I came back here to this neighborhood of Naklao and I got emotional remembering when I came here to be with you. Aline would give me her room and go sleep in the living room. She's a wonderful daughter.
It's because it's a small apartment, it's a studio, so there's just one little room. And everything is together. It was 50 square meters. They're saying it's lagging. It's just that we're here. No, but the internet really is here. It should be better now. Let me know if it got better. I walked a little bit. It should have improved a bit. Let me switch sides with you, Dad. I'll hold it with this one. So guys, I said at the beginning of the live that where I live, there isn't a good internet connection, and I wasn't lying. You see, our internet started dropping over there, so here we are, but we can see how things change in life. Because the name of this street is Laquis. It's a biblical city. It was the second most important city in Judah, an extremely historic place. And they named a street here in Jerusalem in honor of Laquis because Jerusalem was the most important city and Laquis was second. So actually the two cities are connected. The kings, all the kings of Judah lived in Jerusalem, and the second palace of the kings was in Laquis, so they had a royal palace there. So the two cities are extremely connected. You see how the world turns? Because I lived here several years ago before I got married. I lived here and now I am participating in the archaeological excavations in Laquis. I could hardly imagine when I lived here taking a tour guide course, studying nutrition in college, that one day I would actually be able to excavate Laquis with my own hands. So it's one of the most indescribable experiences I've ever had in my life to be able to participate in archaeological excavations, especially in Laquis. And for those who don't know yet, we've launched it for next year, for July 2026. Archaeological excavations in Laquis, which you can participate in. So the excavations are coordinated and with the participation of the archaeologist Rodrigo Silva. So my dad is also a big fan of his. But the archaeologist Rodrigo Silva will be coordinating and overseeing the excavations in Laquis. And then, guys, also the trip through Israel. So you participate in the archaeological excavations in Laquis and then travel through Israel. Traveling from north to south, exploring Jesus' sites, discovering Jerusalem, and visiting the Dead Sea makes this trip incredible with excavations and sightseeing. And now there are still a few spots left, so whoever wants to join in July of 2026, go to the website israelwithaline.com.br. There you'll find the site with prices and information, everything you need to know about the trip. All our trips, all the Israel with Aline caravans, but especially this Israel with Aline and Rodrigo Silva caravan with archaeological excavations in Lachish. So it's really going to be something amazing. If you want to join, the link to the website is also down here in the description and also pinned in the chat. And really, whoever has the opportunity to come with us, it's going to be something unforgettable. Honestly, if I could recommend a once-in-a-lifetime experience to someone, this would be it. Personally, uncovering Jerusalem's biblical history is incredible. That's why returning to Naklaut is so special and makes me truly happy. Should we walk a bit more and show what's happening nearby?
Let's go.
Let's go, everyone. Let me see here. Here, look, everyone. Laquis is so important that it's being honored here, one of the first neighborhoods of Jerusalem. And let's keep walking, everyone. Look here, how beautiful. Imagine walking through these streets. I mean, you being able to be here, really connecting with history. There is no other place in the world like Jerusalem. So it really is a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be able to do this. Let's keep walking and show you more.
The Hanukkah.
Here, look. I really think that it's wonderful to be here. And I saw someone putting here in the comments too that Here, let me see. I saw someone here commenting about how the internet allows us to do things nowadays. And it's totally true. I mean, something that would have been impossible a few decades ago. And here they're just about to start lighting a Hanukkah. So I'm going to stay quiet so you can watch. Look how beautiful it is, the little children participating. And this too, I think, is a very beautiful thing, which is teaching the children. I mean, this is a special time. They are now They are here coordinating everything, everyone. Look, there's a group coming from the back over there. I'm not in the city, older men. Amen. Amen. So let's move on, everyone. For those who are asking what he was doing, the prayer he was saying is Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, which means blessed are you, King of the universe. And the rest of the prayer is who performed miracles for our patriarchs, for our ancestors in these days, at that time. So really they are there praying, literally remembering God's miracles. So these are the words that are said, and I think that's really beautiful. And what I was talking about was actually seeing all the ages. We see from the oldest people to the youngest children, everyone going out into the streets. And I think that's part of the secret to the longevity of the people of Israel. I mean, the education for children, it's not just the adults who go out, they bring the children along. Even though sometimes it's hard to bring the children, sometimes it's easier for just the adults to come. But they want to bring the children so they can learn about the history of Israel and God's miracles. Let's go. Let's go through. Here, guys. Let me find another street to show you too. But you see, I mean, they took my dad and brought him along to dance. I mean, they don't care who he is. They want to share joy with everyone. Look at the little boy here in the front.
Aline, did I mess up your dancing video?
Your families are here too. And also here, look, we can see a gentleman. He's also celebrating the party in his own way, here alone at the entrance of the building. I don't want to disturb him, but I mean, we can see there are those who stand up, sing loudly, dance, and there's also the one who's there alone praying. I mean, each one in their own way. Look here, how beautiful this neighborhood is too, everyone, here in Naklaut. We've been here for 50 minutes. Can you believe it, Dad?
My God, that long?
That long. And there's still a lot of party left. I mean, this party is going to go on for hours. The tradition says that the candles have to be lit. They start being lit when the sun begins to set, and all of them have to be lit, at least before the last person leaves the fair. Look how beautiful this is, everyone.
The one of the little boy you showed.
In the same place where we started today, we're finishing here today, look. And may the light always overcome the darkness, and may faith in God never be extinguished. And we remember that just like in the time of the Maccabees, there were those people who tried to bring idolatry to Israel. They tried to destroy Israel from within, even taking the Temple of Jerusalem, but they couldn't succeed. It's still here 2,200 years after the Greeks, when the Greeks no longer exist. And even though Greece exists, it's not the same people. They don't have the same culture. They don't have the same religion, the same faith. I mean, has Greece changed that much? And meanwhile, the people of Israel are here to tell their own story. And I think that's our victory today. And may the light always prevail.
I thank you very much for joining me in another one of your videos, a live stream. And I wanted to say a phrase in Hebrew, and I'd like you to translate it. It's what we say during the holidays. Chag Sameach.
Chag Samich, have a good holiday. Chag Hanukkah Samich, also have a good Hanukkah holiday for everyone. May God bless everyone this Sunday, and I'll see you next week. And it's also very important for everyone who celebrates Christmas. Soon it will happen, so we wish everyone who celebrates a happy and blessed Christmas. A kiss, bye-bye. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Thank you very much.